Hello everyone, thanks for stopping by and having a wee look at the wee video. I just want to premise this long ass interview with a few little things. First off, today we are going to be talking to Andy from AndyDoesVoiceOver, or as otherwise known as Savian. Now, the reason I wanted to talk to Savian is, one, he's a good friend of mine that I've known for quite a few years, and secondly, he sees things in such a way in terms of like algorithms and styles and creative endeavors in a very specific way that I think would be very beneficial for everyone to learn. He's a very entrepreneurial spirit, very savvy in what he does, and I think it's very, very important to sit down with people like this, to have a wee chat and to pick their brains a little bit. We both were a little bit nervous while making this video, and I personally had some audio issues on my end as well, so hopefully I've cleared up quite a lot of that so you can hear both of us all right, and you enjoy the video. We really both hope that you enjoy the video. But with that being said, there's a lot to pick his brain about, and there's over 2.5 hours of us talking, to which I cut out quite a lot. But not any of the important stuff. So that just made it sound like I edited both our voices. No, just a lot of pauses and events that we both had to leave the computer for. So that was fun. Now, while he is on YouTube and has been on YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that, he is currently working on other projects outside of his own channels. Even still, I do believe the things that he's able to bring to the table will be very important for any creative. So with that being said, we hope you enjoy, and with a bit of luck, we'll give you some knowledge. That being said, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy. So obviously, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming on the channel. Appreciate it, Andy. Tell me about you and what you're working on.
Are you asking currently?
Yes.
Currently, I'm doing a lot of creative writing stuff. I've had a history of doing a bunch of YouTube things, from gaming to narrations, compilation videos. I've worked on a bunch of stuff with a bunch of people. I know a bunch of people that have done very interesting things, and I hope that could be interesting to talk about. Recently, in the last couple of months, I've been live streaming more with one friend, and that's been a lot of fun.
Well, didn't you say to me before that you were doing things like a book and a documentary?
Oh, yeah. That's what I mean by writing. Like, I've been writing ideas for the book that I'm somewhat kind of casually working on, and I'm trying to get my one particular friend to work with me on this documentary at some point. Okay.
And what about, because you were also saying to me a while back about writing jokes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do a lot of that.
In what context would you be doing your jokes? Like, would it be on like videos or like comedy stage, or what exactly would your jokes?
Well, I kind of a little bit experimented with people casually, like like friends and stuff. Like, I don't know, maybe even you, maybe I've done some stuff with you. I do it on stream now and again. Like, I just experiment with the jokes that I've written, and I try to talk about it in a certain way where it doesn't seem like it's written, if you get what I mean. Mm-hmm. It's not like
almost like a
knock joke. Yes, like I like the idea of blurring the line between there of like a prepared content and improvised, because a big thing about comedy is that it catches people off guard. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important to try to emulate. And the reason why I do that is because I want to discover what is funny and what's not, and like adjust the nuance of the jokes in the bits I do.
Would you say it's more like for personal reasons to try and figure this stuff out for yourself, or would you say that it's, it's stuff that you want to implement in like videos or even like a book or whatever it is? Like for stories or, show, or like where do you think that will graduate into?
I like to entertain people and entertain myself, and then also create things and create. It's essentially, we wrote notes about stuff about this, and like I really like the idea of imagination, like creating something from nothing just stuff in your head, and then making something out of that can be enjoyed.
I quite like the idea of creating from nothing. I think I made a video on it a wee while back. It's one of my weirdest,
catch up on those.
Weirdest epiphanies that everyone creates from nothing, in a sense, in terms of like creative arts.
To some extent, but at the same time, a lot of creation of content is a transformation from something else.
Very true. So, why do you do, like, you say that you've done streaming and comedy jokes and, working on a documentary and stuff like that. Why do you make the content that you make?
Because I enjoy it. Hard to believe.
Well, I mean, like, is there a deeper reason besides just enjoying it, or like, what are you wanting to achieve from it? If that makes sense.
I want to give myself and other people moments of joy. Essentially that. That's
very simple and straight to the point. I like it.
Well, I've had this idea before that, being happy and being contented with life can be quite difficult. But moments of joy are they can be so obtainable.
So it is very, to a lot of people, it is very hard to achieve, like, even moments of joy, and they have to go outside of themselves. So having people that their specific want to create is just to help other people enjoy life or have moments of joy. I do think that there needs to be a lot more people like that.
I think we're seeing an uprising. Like, I think the entertainment industry in general is on the rise.
Especially in YouTube. I mean, with the way things are right now, it used to be just Hollywood is the only one creating stuff, and now you have a lot more independent creators. And it does seem that a lot of people that are being made successful, not all of them, but a lot of them are genuinely wanting to entertain. Well, how have you come about, like, your creative journey? Like, describe the creative process of where you've been to where you are now, because I personally know from you, like, a lot of the stuff that you've done, but people that watch me might not know it, so where have you been from the start to how you made it here?
Well, I started out on YouTube in 2010, late 2010, I think, making just, gaming videos, and I've I was going to say up and downs, but that's not right. I've been, like, doing things here and there. I did gaming videos, Let's Plays, and then I did a bit of live streaming with this charity organization.
What was the charity organization, sorry?
It's called 5-Day Gamers,
and
where they play games.
Involve? Like, that entire
Well,
situation?
I never actually played any of the games. I was just a co-commentator. Where they would stream a game or games for 5 days straight with different hosts, obviously, because streaming for 5 days straight for one person is crazy.
Yeah.
They would roll out certain people now and again every couple of hours, and you would have people that would co-commentate on these streams. And I was like a co-commentator. I was on there for like many, many, many hours, and I had a lot of fun moments with that. And then in 2013, I got into making narrations, creepypasta narrations. I actually got quite popular during that time periods. At the time, I got 2,500 subscribers, which isn't really that many subscribers like currently, but like at the time that was a big deal because creepypastas were blowing up, but that kind of fell through because I was focused on other stuff. And then what else did I do? I don't know. Maybe I went back to the gaming stuff a little bit and focusing on writing a bit more.
You also did a podcast that was very well made as well, if I remember
correctly.
Oh,
yeah. I did that. I did a Blimpstone Exists podcast. That's the name of it. And it was like a heavily edited podcast. And unfortunately, I really wanted to do that, like a lot more. Like I only published 2 episodes. I have an unreleased 3rd episode, and I have a few other more bits. But basically, the concept for it was a bunch of friends, myself, and mostly 2 other people and a few others, where we just have conversations on Skype. I'd grab those Skype calls, heavily edited them down to the highlights of what was really funny, and make videos out of that. Unfortunately, I didn't make more episodes because my hard drive died, and I lost like 10 hours of content, fully edited content.
Jesus.
And that's hundreds of hours of, that's maybe not hundreds, but like at least 100 hours of work that I lost.
Yeah, that must have sucked.
Yeah, I've gotten over it. You can, like we're just talking about, like imagination. You can make stuff from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of like thought about that, like, okay, I lost all that. I can make more. Yeah, Let's go for another 10 hours.
You can always make more. That's the beautiful thing about creation.
Mm-hmm. And I also remember some of the stuff, and I also developed skills to edit things very well, like with the audio and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's useful. It's still, it wasn't like I purely lost everything. I still had the experience of trying to be funny and these moments with my friends. I still had the ability to, make jokes. I still remember it, and I also developed these skills of editing.
Yeah, you might have lost the physical stuff, but you still had like the capability to recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that, a lot of people would look at the loss of hard drive of over like hundreds of hours of work, and they go, shit, I've lost everything. But, it's like if your house burns down, you can rebuild it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but like with a house, you're definitely very upset for a while.
Well, yes, obviously. I would hope so.
But I'm sort of okay with it. I've went through the emotions.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, that was years ago, so I'm just kind of like, eh.
Well, I mean, whenever I first started following you properly, you were very into your narrations, and
mm-hmm.
they were very well done. And if I remember correctly, one of the narrations you did actually got one of the writers of the narrations to think about creating a fuller version of it, or a more advanced version of it.
Yeah, that is the, I think it's called All Firemen Are Heroes or something like that. It's the Firemen one, you could easily find it. Yeah, I obviously for these narrations, and this is a bit of a controversy because some people don't ask for permission for certain things, but I'm pretty sure for every story I asked for permission. Like some stories I couldn't ask for permission because they were like anonymous stories.
Yeah.
But for every other story, I would ask for permission, and then once I got the permission, I would send them a link to it. And a lot of them were like, "Wow, you did a great job. I love this." And for that particular fireman story, the guy told me he was wanting to like write a new version of it that was a lot longer and a bit more in depth. I thought that was an interesting concept, what he was trying to do there. I don't know if he's done it yet, but I was very interested in doing a narration of the extended version, and I don't know if I'll get back into it. I kind of want to, kind of don't. It's just a bit.
Well, why do you feel it's a bit? Is it just the style, or is it the?
I want to get back into it because I feel like I could do a better job, but I'm a bit iffy on getting back into it because it's a lot of work to do it. But it's also very creatively fulfilling. Because there was like, I got to a point, like my first videos, don't watch them, they're horrible. But my later on videos, I get to a point where I was like, every video I make, I want to do something particular. I want to challenge myself in a certain regards. And I only want to do good stories. A lot of creepypasta narrators, this is fine, but they just wanted to do stories that people wanted to see, like the very creepy stuff, like the monsters. I was never really into the monster aspect of creepypastas. I was more interested in playing characters who were humans, and they were talking about human interactions, be it I was the villain or there was a human villain. I was more interested in those videos.
Yeah, they seem to have a bigger, bigger.
And I definitely made those kind of videos as well. Like, there's like lost episode videos, and I made a couple of. I did a story. I think that's my biggest video. I made an Eyeless Jack video that was fairly big, and I also did a lost episode video and maybe a few other things.
There's a video in particular that I very vividly remember that you did.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure what the story is, but all I remember is the ending where the guy claws out his eyeball with a freaking scissors.
Spoilers!
Well, they don't know what video it is, but...
You're referring to Symmetry. That's one of my favorite videos that I ever made. And again, that's a video that I'm proud of, but at the same time, I'm like, I could do a better job.
Your perfectionism is showing.
No, there's certain aspects to that video that I really liked. Yeah, I was quite proud of that. I think I wrote to the writer of that video, and he was also quite proud of that. Like, that was another feedback video that I got from.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've always been very impressed with your work, like, especially the podcasts. But the narrations, you managed to see. This is the thing, that the stories that you spoke or recorded were not so much like the monster mystery and stuff like that, which, to be fair, sometimes a good monster story is good.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's stories about human beings, when in reality we're the actual real monsters at times.
Yeah, I think that's a more interesting concept. Like, I think
definitely
the best idea of a monster is people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a lot more imaginable. Like, you can imagine these things a lot better, rather than the fluffy ghoul hiding under your bed, being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna eat you in your sleep. See you in 6 weeks." I don't think that's too fun. No. It can be.
It can be at times, but like the real fear factor comes in whenever you can actually emphasize with the character.
Mm-hmm.
You can see where they've gone or been, and the processes that's working in their head. Even if it's a really messed up, sick, and fucked up one, you can still understand it to a certain extent and realize that they're human, and that's what makes it worse.
Mm-hmm. I also really like the idea of playing a character. Mm-hmm. Like, another one of my favorite videos is a conversation on a plane, where I'm playing a bit of a slightly unstable character who's just a bit spontaneous, and they just want to talk to a stranger about something, and you're just like, why are you talking to me right now? And what are you talking about? I don't even want to listen to you. That was an interesting video, because I did something with the music. Do you want me to go in greater detail about what I did?
Yeah, go for it.
So the concept is, this guy gets on a plane. He's flying somewhere. It's a very short video. And he sits next to a guy who's got earphones on. And he starts talking to the guy about this story about bread and stuff. And the guy doesn't care. So he just turns up his music. And within the video, I turn up the music when you get to that point. And then the guy who I'm playing as tells the story about this bread and this monster thing in the forest. And there's a nice little twist at the end.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I liked because at that time I was very into narrations and even did a few myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I liked your work, because your work in specific, you added those little details that the majority of other creators wouldn't have. They just speak the story and put a bit of creepy music behind it and a thumbnail on the video.
Mm-hmm.
And like
some people thought like that, but like some other people saw that there was craftsmanship to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely very talented people, way talented than me, that did the certain narrations.
Yeah. But at the same time, you realized that as well, and tried to add those little things to make them kind of integrate themselves into the story rather than just being a back piece or something on the sidelines, like the music or something. You know what I mean? And I think that's very important in creating in general, is seeing something that everyone else is doing, yes, but adding little flares here and there to integrate them into the video itself or the story or whatever it is to make it more immersive.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that until much later in their career or their creative abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, like you said, there are things that you'd look back on now and be like, I could have done that better. But at the time, that's what you knew that you could do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's the same with the podcast that you did as well. You know, they were very well done. You know, and they were entertaining. And these are things that, you know, I never thought I'd be interested in. And
that's definitely a project I would like to get back into.
Mm-hmm.
With the same people as well, though.
Even just seeing that unreleased one would be interesting.
Oh, have I not sent you? I'd be happy to send you it privately. But at some point I would like to release that.
Yeah.
Because that might have my greatest piece of work. Because we did this, me and one friend. It's a very... From memory, it's a very relationship-oriented episode. It's pretty much all about relationships, I think. And I did this improvised story about meeting this girl and like what you would do in terms of to, you know, hook up with her or whatever. And it's really good. There's a lot of twists. There's a lot of funny moments. There's even a moment where my friend starts applauding because he finds it so funny.
Well, I definitely think that, like, personally, I think you should release it. Because I think I mentioned this to you the other day, that a lot of creators who died, some of their best work was released after they died. And it was their abandoned projects, as per se. You know, the projects that they didn't want to release because they didn't feel it was good enough, or they always felt that there was something more to add, or something like that. And I do think you struggle with that quite a bit.
Somewhat, yeah. With that particular project, one of them is like sort of getting like the A-OK from my friend to publish it, and then the other thing is I want people to see it. I think we talked about this privately.
Yeah, we did.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I want people to see it. I don't want to release a video that gets like 10 views. Like I want it to be somewhat successful and like people to really enjoy it. A lot of people to enjoy it, because I think there is something to some of the content that I create. I'm not saying everything I make is perfection, but I think there is
those little
something
gems.
to some of this. Yeah, there are some of these videos that I've made that I'm pretty sure a lot of people would enjoy this.
I mean, that kind of ties into another thing that we spoke about private. I like how all these things is just everything we spoke about in private. But like that kind of ties into another like private conversation about, you know, quality versus quantity, because, you know, in order to get that amount of people to see it that you might feel happy with seeing it, you have to create more to get the influence back, as per se, because you haven't been on YouTube creating for a wee while now.
No, yeah, it's been a long time. I'm a lot more focused on writing and doing this live streaming thing. I definitely want to get back to it though.
Well, actually, quickly tell me about the live streaming, because you've been doing this for a little while now, haven't you?
A couple of months. I've been trying to make it every day.
Even weekends, or?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now, if I remember correctly, this is with your friend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've known each other for years. We actually met in the same place where we kind of met, but not really. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You met before, and then you met again?
No, we met in a certain place where where you and I met.
On YouTube?
No, from somewhere else. How did we meet?
Well, we met because back before I was dating my girlfriend,
right?
She was doing YouTube videos, because I found her through YouTube.
Okay, so that's what I was kind of getting to. I didn't know if you want to talk about that, but I found her through an online forum.
Oh,
and
right, yes.
I met him from there as well.
Right, okay. So that was quite a while ago.
Years and years ago.
Yeah. So what do you do in the streams? Like, do you just game, or do you do commentary, or?
Well, we were playing Rust for a little bit for a while. I don't know if we're gonna. Well, I don't know. This is irrelevant to say, but I was gonna say, like, I don't know if we're playing it tonight. Oh, that's funny. I just saw him log into Steam playing Rust.
Good timing.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, we were playing that for every single stream for a couple of weeks, and that was interesting. But like other times, I'm pretty much just being a co-commentator, talking to him about stuff. We've played Minecraft. We have a lot of ongoing jokes. And
Hopefully
there was
family friendly.
Well, like for example, there was one time where we were like, "Oh, let's play Payday 2," and he got very upset with the game and the experience, and we have this running joke about how he's not going to play Payday 2, but myself and the audience are like, "Oh, let's do it again." We have like a running joke with that. But the Minecraft, Payday 2 once, and a lot of Rust, and then co-commentating for the other things. That's what we've done pretty much so far.
A lot of multiplayer games then, so.
A little bit. I'm curious to see what else we could come up with to do together. We're trying to figure that out.
Do you stream together, or is it one person streaming?
Well, actually, he got this software where recently, like in the last couple of days, where he has the ability where I can stream offline, if you get what I mean, and he can take my video feed and put it on the stream, so the audience can see both video feeds at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah, so we've been doing that a little bit lately for like Rust.
Yeah, to get the dual perspective kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. We were doing the podcast series for a little bit, and then we stopped because there was problems with it. We were having audio issues, and also we had some, I don't want to say creative conflict issues.
Creative differences, maybe. Might be a better word.
No, yeah, but no. It was just like, I don't know, this might be a bit of a long topic, but it was just, he wanted to do a podcast, but the problem was we were live streaming it, and it was also a video podcast, which I think is different from an audio podcast. So I didn't think it was a good idea. I think there was like a lot of little flaws here and there about stuff.
More technical issues than anything else.
Yeah, because when you do a video podcast and you're also live, you're constantly talking to the audience, and I just don't think it was a good experience for the audio listeners if they were to listen to the audio version, if you get what I mean. That was my problem with it. We're essentially trying to be too many things at once. Yeah,
and that can be a bit of an issue in terms of creating certain kinds of content. You can overreach yourself a bit.
Mm-hmm. My ideal solution to this is that we just give up on the podcast idea and we just do like a video just chatting series where we both maybe have both of our screens up, and then we're looking through things, talking about stuff. We just have a very casual conversation. We're not focused on the podcast element, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Because I feel like people fetishize the idea of a podcast too much.
Yeah, the podcasts have become very, very popular the last year or two. Everyone has a podcast now. And
a lot of people have evolved the ideas, because podcasts back in the day just used to be two guys talking over audio.
Yeah.
And now it's you have these productions where it's
like a live show or something.
Yeah, you have a live show, or you have two cameras pointing to people. You have like a huge professional setup for it. Or even like what I was doing with my podcast, which was a heavily edited podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There's different ways to do a podcast. And I think we should just focus on just doing a live stream show where we're just casually talking. I think that's the ideal where we want to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the other versions, but if you can focus yourself on the things that you want to do and that you want to have specifically in a good formula, then that will help you, because you're able to focus your energy on the things that matter to you most. Like, say, the content of the conversation. Like, because an example of, like, what I'm doing here, like, we're having a one-on-one conversation, but we're recording it for later. I would like to, at some point, have a small studio kind of thing where I could bring guests in, but that requires more different, you know.
My friend actually talks to me about this quite often. He's constantly saying, "Oh, you need to get over here. I want to do all this live with you in person." He's like begging me to come over and live with him, basically.
But that actually kind of causes a bit of an issue for you, because you don't want to show your face.
Well, we could do workarounds. I think he just wants to show his face and look at me at the same time.
Yeah.
And yeah, to be honest, to some extent, in some regards, it's easier to do certain productions in person with people.
No, I agree, yes.
You know, for example, you don't have to worry about the quality of these VoIPs, VoIPs.
Yeah, because it's all off the one microphone.
And if you get annoyed with somebody, you can just hit them over the face.
Well, I mean, an easy solution to use, just put a basket on your head.
Right.
That way you're hidden, you can put a microphone under there, it's all sorted. But no, I definitely agree that certain things, in terms of the creative fields, are much easier in person. Especially if you're doing a live show. Because, you know, all sorts of different technicalities can occur. Like, you know, maybe the internet for the other person dies, or their camera messes up, or whatever it is. Just little things that can actually cause a big effect on the entire production, essentially. But when problems arrive whenever you're both in person, it could be solved much quicker.
Unless you get swatted.
Well, yeah, unless you... Fucking hell, man. Yeah, that would cause a big dent in the production of whatever you're doing. That's when having two locations is probably best. Hey
guys, I think he just got swatted.
That'd be a hell of a thing, like during a podcast or something, like a live podcast. One side gets swatted.
What if you both get swatted at the same time?
There would have to be very good coordination between the police forces in different countries. Christ almighty. That's something I don't understand with, like, every person, like, on YouTube, on, you know, Twitter or Instagram or whatever it is, if they're doing a live show, whatever it is, the fact that you can get swatted is insane. The fact that someone would go so far their way to try to fuck you up that way.
It's a numbers game, really. You know, like, once you get so big, you attract so many toxic people.
Yeah. Certain
people that have certain abilities to do certain things and certain interests to do certain things. It's a numbers thing.
Yeah. But, like, there are a lot of really, really sweet individuals that don't get swatted. That don't get rated. You know what I mean? Like, there are some amazing creators out there that create very good work and have never had the issue of being swatted. You know what I mean? So it's like, is there a specific type of individual that attracts trolls? Or... Because if you just say it's just numbers, you know.
Well... I've heard some YouTubers talk about this, where they go out their way, where they contact their local police service.
Oh, yeah.
And they tell them, hey, I'm a notable person, I live in this culture where people do this. It might happen, but it's not serious, and they have like a serious conversation about that. Maybe there's probably like a bit of an investigation behind the scenes about it.
Yeah, I would say... I mean, it sucks that whenever you get to a certain extent, you have to make those precautions. But, you know, it is understandable to a certain extent, because some people are freaking crazy. But the fact that someone can go out of their way and do something to someone else, it's not even funny. It's just crazy. Have you interacted with people of like that kind of,
What do you mean?
Well, not like the trolls, but like people that are well known enough that would actually be a concern for them.
I know people that have. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. But I do know people that have had problems where people come to their house before.
That seems to be a big problem.
Yeah, that's also another different problem. Less serious, but it's also a bit concerning. And they've had to make videos being like, "Hey, don't come to my house. That's not okay."
I mean, I do find it funny because those exact same people that are going to the house are saying, "Why do celebrities live in gated communities?"
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder why.
Yeah. Some people are okay with it, but like it's some people that are okay with it.
Yeah.
Like the idea of people come to your house. But for the most part, I think most people are very uncomfortable with strangers. Even if you're fans, even if you're a hardcore loving fan, they don't want you to come to their house. It's their private space.
Yeah, it's their life.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to walk into someone in the street or something, but to have someone come to your home, like, that's probably not the best idea. Especially if they have guns.
Right.
Intruder! Bang, bang.
Are you okay with people coming to your house? You want to get this on the record?
No, I'm not. Like, this is the thing, right? I don't see myself as someone who... I see myself as an everyday individual. I don't see myself as a leader of a community or something like that. If people watch my videos, that's great, and I appreciate it. And I like the fact that people enjoy my content. But to think that it is alright for someone that you do not know, that you just happen to know a lot about, and to go to their home, to go to their personal abode and think that you're best friends with them, that's not how it works. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very dangerous as well. Because, it's one step from going to a person's house, but if their door is unlocked, it's not that much of a stretch for them to think, oh, I can just walk in here. Because that has happened to people. Mm-hmm. I mean, a great example is Philip DeFranco. A couple months ago, someone walked into the office right when he was recording.
I saw that video. Yeah.
That's how far these people go.
I think he also had an incident with his personal home as well.
Yes. People broke into the house. Mm-hmm. And I mean...
And then there's the Gavin free thing.
Yeah, was that the one where people shot at the house because they were annoyed that the person was dating that guy?
I don't think he shot at the house. I think he had a gun, though. I don't know. Take this with a grain of salt, by the way, people listening. You have to look it up. But it was definitely a thing. Like, somebody tried to break in. Luckily, the police came very quickly.
Yeah.
The guy wanted to break in because he didn't like Gavin because he was dating Megan something. It's her name Megan? Can't remember.
I can't remember the name, but I know the story because I watched part of the video. Mm-hmm. Like, it came up on my recommended and it was just absolutely insane. But no, I do not... If you meet me in public or you meet me at a convention, if you meet me anywhere outside of my own home, I will take photos with you. I will happily talk to you. I'll happily do, sign a photo, whatever it is. I do not give a shit. I'm happy that you're enjoying my content. And I'm happy that I can bring some knowledge and information to you. But if you come to my home, that's a no-no. And it terrifies me that that's something that could potentially happen to me. Because I have this fear, because whenever I do have my own home, I will be with my partner, and I don't know if they're here to harm me or her. So it's defense mechanism. It's like, do not come near me. I don't know if you're here for a good or bad reason. So, and without knowing your intentions, that's a very dangerous slope. You know what I mean? Because there's a bit of a disconnect with the people that actually go to people's homes. They see them as their best friends, or you know, it's,
Yeah.
if you watch a vlogger, you know everything about them, essentially what they put on camera, but they're not your best friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's scary, I think. What about you? Are you happy to have someone come up to your home?
No, of course not.
Any particular reason?
I don't even like friends coming to my house. By that I mean like uninvited.
No,
But-
yeah.
Yeah, I gotta invite you first. Gotta be like, oh yeah, we can have some pizza. But if they came to my door, you know, I'd get the baseball bat out.
What if I came to your door just to drop off food or something? It's like, I was in the neighborhood, I already bought pizza.
I'd get a small knife just in case.
Okay, well, to cut the pizza or me?
Yes, to cut the pizza.
Okay.
Of course. I have to say that for legal reasons.
It's like, for legal reasons, I won't kill you. Jeez. It is scary, though, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell. That totally... Jesus. I'll be cutting out a good bit of awkward pause here. I'm trying to figure out how to progress from that. Being threatened with a little knife. I think you mentioned a little while ago that you knew a few people that got very well known in certain circles on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you know what I'm talking about.
What do you mean?
It has to do with your favorite local swamp dweller.
Oh, yes. I'm wanting to mention names, but I don't know if I want to mention names.
Well, no,
here
you
with
don't
this particular
necessarily have
subject.
to mention names.
But I made a video years ago when it was very relevant. It was just about to come relevant, actually. I made a video in relation, like a narration video with some visuals called Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. And people enjoyed that video. It was a big meme at the time. And one of my friends who was also in the field of YouTube content creation, very talented guy, he saw that video, thought it was hilarious, and he decided to make his own video on it. And he blew up from that. He made several other videos. He had one video in particular, like Shrek is Love related, that I think it got up to 2 million views.
It was a very popular one.
Yeah, and you know, if you looked up a certain thing to do with Shrek-related content with this meme, he was number one at the time. He's taken the video down at this point because, I don't know, he's a bit ashamed of it. He had issues with it and stuff, but he gained a lot of popularity from that. And in some sense, you could look at it that I had part of an influence on popularizing that meme in particular. Because if I didn't make my video, he wouldn't have made his video.
You had a bit of an influence on the cultural memes of the time, which not many people can say that they've had that.
Yeah. That's the only meme that I've had influence over, I would vaguely say I do. I don't know if I can really take credit for it.
Well,
or even partial credit.
The background credit, I think. The fact that you had like interactions with the fella that made it, you know, that much of a meme, even more so, that they saw your video first and was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this too. Because I think that's where all beautiful creations come from. They see someone doing something and then they decide, oh, I'm gonna go on and create this version of it. It's how memes are formed, I think.
Any other questions about that, or you want to move on next?
Well, what else do you have to say about it?
I don't know. Like he just he got in a little bit of trouble with it. Like I don't know. He just felt a bit of ashamed of it, and the video's gone now. I don't know if he even has the video still, or the videos. He still has his channel that like blew up. He gained like, I don't know, 10,000 plus subscribers.
Is he doing anything with the channel?
Not current. Well, somewhat. But actually, somewhat related. I actually lost my video because YouTube gave me not a copyright strike, but some other kind of strike.
Cease and desist?
No. They gave me a strike because apparently I was manipulating the tags. What had happened was that I had the video up for months, and then suddenly the video had started to get like thousands of views.
Right.
And I didn't know why. I hadn't touched the video, I hadn't changed the tags, and then the video got taken down, and YouTube told me, "Oh, you were messing around with the metadata and manipulating things." And I contacted my multi-channel network at the time, being like, "Hey, can you help me out with this?" And I tried to work it out, and I like tried to repeal it, and YouTube didn't tell me what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Like what I actually did wrong. And I found it quite annoying because, okay, if I legitimately did something wrong, if there was something about the tags and metadata that I did wrong, then should you not tell me what I did wrong exactly? Because I have no idea. I don't manipulate stuff like that. I'm not like an aggressive manipulator of that stuff. A lot of people do that all the time and they get scot-free with it.
Yeah.
But I don't do that. And if somebody does that, I think you should tell them. But they refused to tell me. They just took the video down. And not only did they give me a strike, remove the video, but they also removed the video from my access. So I couldn't re-download it.
Right?
So I lost the video completely.
Huh.
It's gone. It's gone.
Well, I think the reason that they might have done that is because they're very wary of having any information about their algorithms on the internet. Mm-hmm. Any at all. So even if someone was genuinely looking for information of what they did wrong, they wouldn't tell you in case you figured out.
But I think that's important.
No,
because
I agree.
Do you not want people to improve that are like behaving in a very innocent manner, but they've made some sort of mistake?
Yeah. But you see, I think in their eyes, if they give any information, good or bad, about their algorithm, other people can game it. I'm not trying to defend them because I think it's a stupid thing anyway, but, anything in terms of their algorithm, they are super secretive about. Mm-hmm. And then you have people like Nerd City figuring it out anyway. I am actually, this is like going on to a different topic here, but I am very, very curious about, because throughout the time that I've known you and you creating content, and even more recently, I do think that you have a bit of an issue with perfectionism. And I do think there are certain setbacks to that prevent you from progressing. And I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with, myself included. And I'm curious as to your thoughts on that.
The thing is, I'm very proud of the things I make, and mm-hmm. I think it's more of an issue of I don't want to publish things that very few people are going to see, be it because I don't have a large reach, or because the video is not good enough. Those are the two reasons why I don't release certain things. And I really do truly feel like my best videos have never really been released. Some of them have been released. Like there's certain comedic videos that are out there. But for the most part, a lot of them haven't been, because I'm scared of those two issues.
Well, do you not feel that, and again, this ties into this question, and with a lot of what other people would struggle with as well. If you never release your best content, do you not feel that no one will see them instead of anyone at all? Because it ties into something that you said at the very start, wanting to create to bring joy to people's lives and the like. But if you never release it, no one will see it. And if you never release it, it will never have that opportunity to potentially garner a big audience.
What I'm saying is I'm not ever going to release it. It's just in the banks for a while. And I'll release it once either I feel like it's very finished, or there'll be a sizable amount of people that will see it.
So what are you going to release in between then?
Nothing currently. I'm just working on like the writing stuff, like trying to, because things need to be crafted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have a lot of different ideas, and I want to do a lot of different things, and then one day I'm going to get to a point where like I'm like, all right, here's my book. There you go.
Just like that.
Here's this thing. Here's that thing. Like I'm just there's so many. I'm trying to explain this. Like, okay, this is a weird metaphor. It's like I'm a Chinese restaurant and I'm making a bunch of food, but it takes me time to make all that product, and you need to give me a bit of time to make all the noodles and the rice, and then all the customers can come in and enjoy it.
No.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, I need time to work on everything, and I'm working on a bunch of different things.
So your focus is just more focused elsewhere, essentially.
Kinda. It's just sort of, let's do a bunch of different things, but not have a focus.
Right, okay. Diversify.
Kind of, yeah. Because I just naturally just want to do a bunch of different things, and maybe people could make the argument that that's not a good idea. Maybe you should just focus on getting something done. And I do think that's important advice.
Yeah.
But I want to do a bunch of different things. And one day I'll get stuff done, and it'll be out there.
I've actually had that exact advice given to me this past year non-stop, because I've actually been fucking myself over from doing too many things at once, which is why I'm more focused on the YouTube right now.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I do understand very much so about wanting to do so many different things, and there is a lot of what's the word?
The other problem is, quickly,
go ahead.
I've also given up on a lot of projects, which has been frustrating because I've just wasted hours and hours of work.
Well, like never to edit them again, or
not just editing, but like other stuff, and I'm just like, I can't do that.
That's that's understandable.
I've just lost a lot of hours, especially unintentionally. I lost a bunch of hours with my Blimpstone Exist series with my hard drive failure. I had ideas for YouTube channels that just I can't do them anymore because the time's passed, because they would have been very good at the time.
What? So they wouldn't work at all, no?
Not really, no. Like, I had an idea to do a Foley sound effect channel years and years ago, but I don't think that would really work anymore because there's a lot of those channels now, and there's so much content out there for you to get free sound effects.
Yeah, especially websites as well.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely websites now.
Yeah, I think the vast majority of sound effect websites are like 5 that everyone goes to and downloads off of each other.
Mm-hmm. I can't do that anymore. And what else was there? I had this idea. I don't know. I can't do this anymore. There's some content that I'm not comfortable with talking about because I might still do it, but it's kind of cancelled right now. But another channel idea I had was a podcast clipping channel. And the reason why I can't do that anymore is because podcast channels have realized that they could do that themselves very easily.
Yeah.
And then they can get the views, they can get the clicks, they can get the attention. But I had that idea to do that with like every podcast. Just clip every podcast channel, all the little snippets of certain conversations.
Yeah.
I thought that would be very interesting, but I can't do that anymore.
You also kind of have to be careful if they're able to implement anything from Article 13 now. If they're able
I thought you said we're not going to get political.
No, that's not me trying to be political. It's the fact that that will affect if they're able to implement that kind of stuff.
I don't know how that's going to work, honestly.
I don't know either. Barely anyone on YouTube knows how it works, but it could potentially affect the entire website. That's the only reason why I mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see. Like, I don't know. Does anybody know what's going to happen when a political thing happens and it's crazy?
Yeah, if anyone does know, please tell us, because I think we're all kind of lost here. I like how you try and shut me down with the, I thought we were being political.
No, that was honestly like a bit of a joke there.
But like, it is crazy to think that, if the things in that article are actually realized on, I don't think we have the the technology to implement that, do we?
What exactly?
Well, like for individual websites like YouTube to be able to scan every single second, every single image, every single sound, and to turn around and go, oh yeah, this is owned by such and such.
We can have a bit of a... Do you want to have a bit of a nuanced topic about this? Because I have certain theories and ideas about this. I think we briefly talked about it with the subtitles. So,
Yes. No, go ahead if you have ideas. I mean, we'll be talking about the algorithm anyway, because you know quite a bit about this kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah, the algorithm for YouTube has like evolved over time. It's become more and more advanced and complicated. I think that's a big problem with people getting flagged nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like, I think some people think that it's just YouTube like going out their way to just block people when they're trying to be advertiser friendly. It's more just it's just so complicated to like manage.
Yeah.
But this is somewhat related to you. I've told you about this. But I clicked on one of your videos, one of the news videos you did back in the day, and you had subtitles on. And I was like, oh, hey, man, like, that's awesome. You're putting in the work to do subtitles. And you were like, what are you talking about? I didn't do any subtitles.
Yes.
I just made this video. And then I found out quickly that YouTube's implemented a system where automated subtitles were... their system for that was incredibly advanced now. Mm-hmm. And that blew my mind away. And then... a while later, I don't know how long later, I was theorizing that, are they using subtitles for metadata now? And I'm pretty sure that's true now.
Yes, it definitely is now, yes.
They do that now. And I was thinking, that's crazy. And there's certain things that YouTubers are doing now, like they're being a bit more careful about what they say, the words they say. And I think that kind of idea is going to keep going. They also use comments as well. And I think there'll be more advancements to the point where they'll start using metadata in your video. So if you show a certain kind of picture, they'll use that as metadata for their complicated algorithm.
Yeah.
If you increase your voice, start yelling or something, then they'll be like, oh, that's an angry video. Or if it's a whispering video, then they'll be like, oh, this person's a camera, so we'll show quieter ads so that people don't get like a conflict of like their video experience.
Or a fright.
They'll do all these things. They'll combine all these elements eventually. And there will be, bumps on the road as they go through implementing this. Mm-hmm. But I think it really will be implemented where everything about the video will eventually at some point be integrated into the metadata algorithm.
I think it's very, very interesting that on... like today, they can differentiate between music, the words in music, and a person's speech for subtitles.
The other thing is, same thing, another example of this is facial expressions. I think they'll be able to track that. And if you're making an angry face, then they'll influence that in the metadata. And if you're making a happy face... like, this is getting very, I don't know what you call it, but like very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In some sense, because now... if they do that, you have to think so carefully about how to make a video. Oh, I just have to smile all the time.
What is that game called? We Happy Few?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's a bit dystopian in some regards.
Or Orwellian.
Yeah. I think we're gonna kind of get to that point, but it's going to be a rocky road, and it's going to be a while away.
Yeah, I don't see them getting so far as to... it's, a quiet video, or, this person's smiling or happy or something like that. I think
I do think that will happen one day.
Maybe like 40 years down the road.
No, not that far. You're underestimating the advancement of technology.
No, it's not the underestimation of the advancement of technology. It's the people who are running the thing. Because I don't see how that would benefit them as a company, as a business.
The reason why it would benefit the company is because then they could target ads more accurately. Because so you know about ASMR.
Yes.
People that don't know, it's basically people whispering and people like that, and it makes them feel safe and blah blah blah.
Helps them sleep. I know a few.
Yes,
I know a few people who it helps them sleep.
Like videos like that, do you not think it would be valuable if they implemented a system that could track how quiet somebody's voice is or how quiet the video is, and then they could play them a quiet advert, and it's not like a super noisy advert about a rock band?
Well, maybe, but it's also based on their searches as well. I mean, if someone's into heavy metal and then listens to ASMR to go to sleep, it's going to be a conflict of interest, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if they're listening to a quiet video, they probably don't want to hear like a noisy ad.
So they probably just turn ad blocker on.
Yes, and YouTube don't want that.
Yeah, I know, but well, here's the thing, right? For me to fall asleep nowadays, I listen to campfires and freaking. Because I'm one of those people, not that listens to ASMR, but
I like to imagine you sitting there with a tinder box in your PJs.
This is how I sleep. Fire! No, but I'll listen to videos of rain and thunder and shit like that, and that will actually help me relax and sleep and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you're listening to thunder, and that's quite a loud thing.
Not always.
Well, sometimes. But if it's classed as thunder under the title and stuff like that, then it can be... Because the question is as well, in terms of, it may sound quiet with your headphones and stuff like that, but the actual audio of the video itself might actually be very loud. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you can turn the volume up and down on your headphones or your TV or whatever, but the actual bass audio might be very loud.
Mm.
So it would be very difficult, very, very difficult to do that kind of process, what you're talking about, for advertising, I think.
I also think that this goes for other companies, not just Google. Mm-hmm. I think their release of their technology is delayed.
Yes.
Because they want to test it first and a bunch of other things. To make sure that it definitely works. Because Google has a lot of employees. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like they're doing a lot, but then suddenly they roll out something.
Yeah. I mean, Microsoft's very much like that as well. Mm-hmm. Because if you're on Windows 10, it's basically a beta program. Every update is I know people that, used to build computers and sort out every single thing in the operating system, and they still do it for their own systems, and they repeatedly tell me, do not get a Windows. Do not get it. Because it's but at the same time they tell me not to get a Mac either, so I'm like, which do you want? I don't understand.
Linux, baby.
But it's the fact that nearly every single update that they give you is some kind of beta testing. Mm-hmm. Which is insane in a way. Because you're messing with people's operating systems. Before, even though they've already paid to have this, full product essentially. And
well, in some sense, you're buying a product that's constantly evolving over, years, a decade even. That's kind of, a good thing in some sense. But I do get what you're saying, but
I think you should have an opt-in option, is what I'm saying, to beta testing, like what they used to do. Because if you're an opt-in, maybe there's benefits to being opted in, but to have it unwillingly put in to where it could affect your entire livelihood or something like that, that's, or your business as per se, that could be very concerning. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you were saying about the algorithm as well. How do you view the YouTube algorithm right now and people's reliance on it, and even YouTube's reliance on the algorithm itself?
I think it's incredibly complicated, and they're trying to make the tweaks that they can go as along. And I think YouTubers rely on it too much, and they should be trying to do other things rather than, be it going on a different platform, building their audiences on a different platform, or making videos on YouTube that don't rely on the algorithm. They rely on shareability, things like that.
Well, I mean, we were talking about this before we, we're doing this, and you had mentioned that YouTubers very much rely on the algorithm.
Yes.
And I put forward to you that the algorithm itself is mainly to get newer viewers in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only issue I have found with YouTube releasing your videos to your own audience. So I do understand to a certain extent the reliance on the recommended and the like, because sometimes the sub boxes don't work. But at the same time, I do definitely agree with, YouTubers relying too much on the algorithm for their videos. Do you think YouTubers should focus on, like other platforms, as you said, to build an audience, to share their videos there? Or do you think it's a better idea to stay on YouTube?
YouTube is the video platform currently.
That is true.
I don't think a new one's going to come up unless, Facebook or Twitch. I don't know who else could steps up to the plate. Yeah. But, I was partially meaning you should focus on growing your other social medias. Maybe develop a website and whatnot.
Oh, to get people to come to your videos?
Yeah, but just in general, have a general social presence. I think that's just in general to have a presence on the internet, because that's what the entirety of the internet's all about, and this sort of social media and technology is all about. Is that it's about attention, gathering people's attention. That's what all these sites are focused on. They want you to be on the website as long as possible, and I think you should be focusing on that yourself. And I think there's two different ways to do that. Either produce so much content, or make content that stays in people's mind, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, the quality versus quantity thing.
Kind of, yeah. Make, 2 hours of content that everybody watches, or make a 5-minute video that people think about for months or years. I'm sure you have that as well. I'm sure there's content that you watch constantly. You watch hours within a month, but there's also content that you think about for years because you thought it was so funny, or you thought it was a very interesting video.
Yeah, just stood out to you.
Yeah, for me, one video, for example, is a video that CGB Grey made called "Humans Need Not Apply." That's a video that I think about all the time.
Humans, what? Sorry.
Humans Need Not Apply. It's basically about automation and it replacing all humans' jobs, or most of the jobs of humans.
Was he the guy that did the 24-hour death counter?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that one stuck in my mind.
Okay.
No, the reason that actually stuck in my mind is because when I was in school, we did an after-school program where we actually brought up the website where it showed up, the births and deaths of people in the world at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And that just stuck in my mind. And then when I saw that, the 20... Because I only saw the stream appear for 10 seconds. But it stuck in my mind for 3 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a hell of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually that kind of ties into a little bit of dark humor in a sense. Because, we're able to joke about this stuff, and it is very serious stuff as well. And with the algorithm, in certain instances, not being very happy with dark humor and the like, what is your take on dark humor on YouTube and people, holding themselves back from saying things because of the algorithm and the like?
I kind of want to talk about censorship a little bit here.
Oh, go for it.
So, I would say my personal humor is quite in terms of enjoyment and what I do, it's mostly weird. And yeah, it's just mostly weird. It's just people just listen to what I say and they're just like, why did your brain just go there? And it's not even really dark humor, but sometimes my brain and what I say goes to a dark humor place. And I'm going to say something slightly controversial here.
Oh dear.
with some people. I kind of don't like dark humor in some regards because I like clever humor. And sometimes I feel like people are like, oh yeah, I'm really into dark humor, but it's not clever. It's just you're being a dick.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between having a joke and being an asshole. I think that there's a very definitive line between a joke and being insulting or offensive.
Well, it's not just that. It's just being just obscenely morbid and dark about things where it's not even a joke. It's sort of, in some sense, in some situations, it's somewhat of a manifestation of how you see the world. It's nihilism, pessimism. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get to. Yeah.
And it's just not really funny in any way. It's just horrible. So I kind of don't like it in that regards. And then I find it annoying with YouTubers because there's been this growing movement because of the subtitles thing. A lot of YouTubers are censoring their videos where they cut out the words, especially the word fuck.
Yeah.
And then a few other swear words. And I think that's a bit weird because you're talking about all these different things, you're making this kind of content, but you're cutting out these words. Like I'm kind of anti-censorship when you're saying this stuff, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the idea of censoring yourself. Like if you say fuck in a video, I think you should say it. But if you want to censor it, then I don't even think you should say it. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, like, do you mean whenever someone says it but then bleeps it out or something?
Yeah,
right,
or they
okay, yeah. I've seen a lot of that lately, yeah.
And I think it's because of like algorithm stuff or something they've heard from YouTube. And I don't like that. Like I would rather you just don't talk like that. Because it just happens so much and it's so distracting.
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't really have noticed that they've said it.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever you bleep it, it's like, okay, you're paying more attention to it now.
And I also know what you're saying.
Oh, that too.
Let me hear you.
It does seem like it's trying to be like average day TV kind of thing, in a sense.
Like, I really do not understand the point of beeping, because has that ever helped anybody?
No.
I don't think it has. Because we all know what it means. And if a kid's watching a TV show and he hears beep, beep, you're a beep, beep, then the kid's gonna, talk to daddy and be like, Daddy, what did he just say?
Or, what's a beep? Well, I mean, it could inversely go and then people just turn around, like kids going around saying, you're a beep.
I would love that if that was the thing. Let's start that trend.
I think that would actually be cute. I think that would be adorable. Kids thinking they're being like tough and hard asses, and then all they're saying is, you're a beep. Oh dear. Bless me heart.
I hope that I would rather we get rid of the beeping thing.
Yeah.
Culturally, I want us to either be, if you make a piece of content, just go all out on what you're saying. Don't beep anything. And if you don't want a thing to be heard, then don't say it.
Yeah, don't put it in the video if you think that it's... like, if you think that it's...
There are definitely, to be devil's advocate, there are definitely times where that's funny to do, like, beeps.
Yeah, if it's comedy, that makes sense. But if it's, like, a serious conversation and you're bleeping out the word, like, fuck, should you not be bleeping out the rest of the conversation? As that's a serious thing as well? You know what I mean? Because you're taken away from the seriousness of the video.
On the stream, like a few days ago or a week ago, I did this little joke where I was asking my friend, What's your favorite words to say? And then I said, other than beep, 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 implying that I couldn't say the words.
Yeah, like, again, comedy is, if it's for comedic value, that's understandable. But if it's like an average video or a serious video or something like that, you're taking away from the video itself. Or you shouldn't be adding that particular section of the video in if you're going to remove it anyway. It doesn't really make much sense from a creative point of view. It'd be different if it was a clip from a stream or something. That would make more sense if you're doing it then. Be more consistent with what you're doing, but otherwise, like you said, don't say it.
Speaking of what you're kind of saying there, so there's stuff happening in the world right now where people are getting clipped and exposed and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I really think people that live stream or even do podcasts should get a bit of leeway with what they say.
Yeah, because it's off the top of your head, essentially.
Yeah, and you're also talking for, most of the time, over an hour.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of words that you're saying in that time.
Yeah, to take 10 seconds out of like a 3-hour conversation is a bit hypocritical.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, at the same time...
You should get a bit of leeway.
Yeah, you should get a bit of leeway, I agree. Especially if it's like from 5-10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That that's a bit odd to me that you dig through so much content to get like 10 seconds, 20 seconds to try and take someone down. But I do think, however, that even if you slip up, I understand that. And that's understandable. If you do it like once in like 5 years, then it's a slip up. It's not how they talk every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of the issue comes from, that people just take that one example.
So you might have to cut this out. I don't know. Let's see. So you know about the cat thing with Shane Dawson?
Yes.
What do you think of that, first off?
See, my personal opinion of it is I don't believe he did it. And to be fair, belief and the truth are two different things. If he did, I'd be very horrified. But at the same time, he was very into shock humor back then, and I don't necessarily think that is something that he would do. But then again, I don't know him personally. I don't know if he's fucked up that way or not. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't think he did it. And I think it's strange that there are a lot of people trying to take a lot of what he said in the past, even something as messed up as that, and trying to, get him off deplatformed and everything.
When I heard him talk about that, I was listening to a thing about it. At first I was like, ew.
Yeah, no, me too. I woke up to Twitter with all Twitter people saying the same copy pasta, essentially. I was like, what the hell's going on?
And then once I heard that he said that, or read his tweet about how it was like a totally fabricated, idea.
Yeah.
And it was like meant to be for a sketch. I was like, oh, I actually see that. And I have a related story to him.
Oh,
I can relate
are you
with
telling
him on
this?
Yep.
You want this on the internet?
Well, it doesn't involve a cat or animals.
No, thankfully.
But it's just this idea that he made a totally fabricated story that's so ridiculous that people believe, because why would somebody make it up?
Mm.
That's the story I'm about to tell. So, I once made up this story with this guy on a Skype call. And then I thought it was really funny. He thought it was really funny. And then later on, I told this story to 4 of my school friends. And
See, I'm just letting you speak because I know this story. So,
do you? Did I tell you this
you
story?
told me this story a couple of days ago, so that's why I'm just letting you speak.
Remember. I told this story about how I was at a sleepover with a bunch of girls, and there was this one girl I really liked, and she was sleeping. I thought she was very cute. By the way, this is a fabricated story. Just want to get out there.
Just
Don't
to clarify.
think this is real. Definitely is fabricated. I totally made this up. And
see some news articles coming in like 5 years from now.
oh no. I open up her mouth while she's sleeping, and I take out her retainer, and I don't know, like I said, she's cute, and I like her mouth and stuff, and I put the retainer in my mouth, but she has a small mouth, so the retainer slides down my throat, and I accidentally swallow it. That's essentially it. And all my friends remembered that story, and they thought it was real. And I sat next to one of my friends in English class, and now and again he would ask me, like, what happened? Did you ever tell her? Where's the retainer? What's going on? And I would never tell him. And I would never tell anybody that it was a fabricated story. And I don't know, after a few years, I did actually tell people that it was a fabricated story. Mm-hmm. Some of the people, not all of them, some of the people think it's still a real story. And I remember being in high school and worrying that they told other people, and there were rumors going around me behind my back that I was a guy who,
Retainer boy?
Yeah, I would take retainers out of girls' mouths and swallow them. I never heard any rumors like that. No, nobody acted shifty around me, but I was worried about it a little bit.
But the thing is, like, the fact that someone would believe that, considering the fact, how in the fuck would you swallow a retainer?
But, like, if somebody told you that just out of the blue, you would believe them. 4 of my friends did believe me.
To a certain extent, you would believe them until you sort of really thought about it.
None of them thought about it.
That's my point. If you sat down and thought about it, you would instantly go, well, hold on a second. How in the hell did he... You'd have to really, really think hard on swallowing a retainer.
Mm-hmm. That's my defense.
That's your defense against it being fake.
Yeah, if anybody accuses me of it being real, I just tell them, you try to swallow a retainer. It's pretty hard.
I mean...
I've tried it myself.
Even if you really, like, dissect the thing with the cat would fucking hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you really think about it, yeah, like, a cat wouldn't be comfortable with that, probably.
Probably?
I don't know, I haven't tried.
Well, I'm glad. But, yeah, no, it's kind of obvious that it's fake, because a cat, you wouldn't be able to do that. I can't believe we're dissecting this, but a cat would fucking scratch the shit out of you.
Well, that's the kink.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, I don't believe it.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe my story?
No. Unless you have some freakishly large throat muscles.
No.
Then, no. That'd be a bit weird. Like a tree stump out of your head.
But it was interesting because I really related to him on that particular story.
For the fact that you fabricated a story, let's just clarify.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, I really related. It was just like this idea of fabricating a story. And
I think we've all fabricated
so
a stupid story, though, that someone has believed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a universal thing, especially when you're younger, because you want to seem cool, or you want to have an edgy joke, or you want to do something strange. You fabricate these lies about yourself to make yourself seem more outlandish or cooler or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're said online, and this was something I was going to say earlier, I think as soon as you go on to the internet, you kind of have to be somewhat aware of what you're doing, of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Even if you're in a live stream, you have to kind of be super aware of it. Because, like, if I wanted, I could go out and cut out that entire section. I could edit out that entire section if I felt like it was going to be an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have the ability to go back and edit, but in real time, you do have to be a little bit more aware.
Mm-hmm. There's a difference of attitude, I feel like, when you stream versus making a video, because there's times when I would make videos and I would I would record videos and then I would make little notes, verbal notes to myself about how to edit the video, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that in the live stream, and also it's pointless.
That's true. Yeah, you kind of have to do the pre-work. You have to figure out what you want to do before you do the live stream, unless you're gaming or something. But if you're doing like a conversation thing, you do kind of have to work out that beforehand. And even then, sometimes you can slip up. Because like even the people who bleep out like the word "fuck" on a video, it will slip during a live stream. You know what I mean? And if they're live streaming on YouTube, what do you do then? If that's part of your metadata, you know?
Oh, that's kind of funny because so part of the creative differences I have with my friends for the live streams is I'm a bit risque on streams. I like to push the boundaries, and you know he doesn't like some of the things, and some of the things he's enjoying and whatnot. But he's in a stream group, and he's also sponsored, and he was streaming for a certain company, like on their actual service, like on their actual Twitch stream.
Oh, right, okay.
And he had to behave in a certain way, and I was on there too.
Yeah.
And he was very concerned with controversial topics and swearing, and I did not utter a swear word. I didn't mention anything controversial. I was a good boy, pat on the head, but he had a few swear slip-ups.
Oh, so he slipped up instead of you
Yeah,
after
I
telling
found
you
that
to behave?
Yeah, I found that very ironic that I have the capacity to behave when in a certain situation, but he can't.
Yeah. To be honest, I think it's very difficult to... Well, like you said earlier, it's very difficult, and you should have some leeway, to be fair, for slip-ups.
He didn't do that bad of slip-ups. It was just... He wasn't being careless about it. Like, there was one moment where he knew he slipped up, and he's like...
But, like, I mean for, like, going to the example of the cat or whatever, if it's a live stream or something like that, right? Say you're a very popular person and you used to do very edgy jokes, and you said something that just came to mind and then afterwards completely regretted it on a live podcast or a live video that you had no control over whether to delete or not. And people would have already have clipped it or recorded it and whatever. In certain circumstances like that, yeah, you should have some leeway. Unless it's like over the top, absolutely disastrous and terrible and horrible, and you should never have even thought of it.
Yeah, there's definitely been a few streaming moments that people have messed up in recent history.
Yeah. The life of an entertainer. You have to be very on top of your game.
Another thing that happens was, so we were playing Rust, and there was this moment where we were playing the game on the sponsor stream, and you can create signs and stuff in the game, and I came across this certain sign, and it said a naughty word. I am not even going to say it in this interview podcast thing, because it's one of the top 3 worst words you could say.
Was it a racial slur?
No comment.
Okay, yeah, no, okay.
But I was like, hey man, do not come here. Do not come in this area. You shouldn't come here. You'll get in trouble.
Actually a very curious thing. If the algorithm gets to such a point that it can pick up words on the screen, would you potentially get banned or something because of, like, say, the stereotypical, racist slur that we all know?
You would get negative points.
Yeah,
I think it would be very complicated.
Yeah, that would be very, very complicated, especially if you're just playing a multiplayer game, because then you'd have to resort to just servers that you specifically know. You wouldn't be able to do things like that because of the potential downside of it, which would cause a lot of issues all over the place for a lot of people. Because, like, a lot of people don't like saying words like that, and I totally agree with them. I don't even like considering words like that. But my point is, if you come across it and it's scrawled into a wall on a game or something, like, is that your fault for coming across it? Or for reading it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a messy journey, like my dystopian theory of what I'm suggesting. But I hope it works out in the end. I hope everything works out in the end.
I do too.
But it's gonna be a very long, rough journey for a while.
Yeah. Very interesting.
And at the same time, I can't even fathom what content people will be making creatively in 10 plus years.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see what some people create.
It will be quite exciting, but it'll be so bizarro. Like, if we could jump forward 10 years, our minds would explode. Yeah. Probably.
Like, because this is the thing, a lot of my favorite shows that I actually watch on a consistent basis, they've been finished for years, right? But there are people who have created those shows and gone on to create even better shows. Like, because think of it, for an example, like, whenever The Walking Dead first started, or Game of Thrones, those blew up and became part of culture. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is going to happen in 10 years? And I think that's an absolutely incredible thing.
I think we're going to... I don't exactly know when it's going to happen, when there's going to be a full-on takeover of content creators over, like, television. Because we're, like, in a weird middle ground now.
Yeah, where TV is losing viewers, in a sense, and online viewers are becoming
There's
more...
even a current discussion now about Netflix, being allowed to be in the Oscars. Like, their movies getting nominated and stuff like that.
I think they should.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think if you create something awesome and have essentially created a livelihood for hundreds of people, like cast and crew and makeup designers and artists and all that different kind of stuff, you should.
But right now, that's in the middle messy ground of the process of being like, we're having a tough discussion about it right now.
Well, I think if they allow Netflix, then shouldn't they also allow Amazon?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Because like the big.
Of course not YouTube, because they don't make any good movies. Sorry, YouTube.
Ouch.
Now you're going to get demonetized for that joke.
I probably won't be monetized for a very long time anyway. I think a lot of my videos would get demonetized.
I wonder how that would change content if, like, what I'm suggesting about the visual stuff changing totally. Like, like the visual stuff being implemented in the metadata.
I think you'll have a lot of people more worried about the algorithm and will try and refine themselves to follow the algorithm, but then you will always have people that go against it and still manage to break through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's those ones that still break through doing their own thing that will be the people that are at the top of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribers and viewers and retention span and all that kind of stuff. Because if you dull yourself down, you're not going to make the great content that you want to. And like you said, we worry too much about the algorithm itself. And we shouldn't. We should worry about making what we want to make and how we make it. But I mean, speaking of YouTube, seeing as someday you may make a return to it, and with all the changes in the algorithm and everything like that, do you personally believe that someone can still make it in YouTube? To make a career out of it?
Yes, but you have to be making certain types of content because I've had, like I was saying earlier, I had certain ideas to make certain kinds of content, and I can't do that anymore. One thing I actually did do for a little bit, I had this idea of making videos on very old nostalgic games, and a lot of my gaming videos, let's plays, were of that essence. They were that. Like my, I don't know, Red Dead series, my Sim series, I guess Fahrenheit. You know, people would look it up years later, and I have a trickling in of views from that.
Yeah, the nostalgia of it.
Yeah, I was banking on the nostalgia idea, and I think that would have been a good idea if I kept doing it. Like 5 years ago, like I could have developed a very big channel if I did that, kept that up, but I didn't. And now I think the time's just passed. Like, you can't succeed on YouTube with Let's Plays, pure Let's Plays.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah,
like you have to be doing a certain kind of content, and I've actually grown to think about this stuff. Like, I don't show my face. I've never shown my face on YouTube, on like my internet stuff. But I feel like I kind of have to if I want to get to a certain point. And I need to really think about that.
Well, I guess it depends on the type of content that you want to create.
Well, content in general, man. Like, I really think you have to show your face. You have to put your face out there. I think that's the reason why... Oh my god, so many things to say. I think that's the reason why MatPat has... Part of the reason why he's showing his face on his Game Theories channel. It's because he wants to be more of...
Personalized?
He doesn't want to be known as the game theorist. He wants to be known as MatPat, and that's more valuable.
Right, yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Like, I think it's important to have a face to a thing.
Yeah, it makes it easier for people to connect, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, I have a friend of mine who said that when you make a video and all you see is the voice, or all you hear is the voice, sorry. If you see a voice, you probably should see a doctor. But if all you see in the video is the hearing of the voice, you don't have the same psychological connection as if you were to see the person. Because if you see the person, there is body language associated with that give you, subconscious clues in the video itself to see if you like it or not. Mm-hmm. There's much more to it than just, oh, it's a face, or, oh, it's a voice. I mean, certain videos you can get away with making just audio and visual, but I do think there is a lot of different types of content that would benefit having your face in it.
Yeah. So I need to think about that at some point. Like, I think I'm probably going to do it at some point if things kick off, like, in a serious way.
I don't think it's absolutely necessary to make a living to have to show your face, but
there are definitely content creators that break the mold, but
yeah.
I think it's advisable.
Like, I think if you kept doing your, blimps don't exist thing the way it was, obviously with improvements over the years and stuff like that, with the stuff that you've learned now, like, I think that would be an incredibly successful series.
Also, things are going to change a lot in the future.
Yeah.
Like, I look at things now with YouTube and I'm like, this is the standard. This is what I have to do at some point. But it's going to get even more different in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that even looks like, but it's going to be very different. I've started doing this thing where I'm collecting clips for the stream because I want to edit some, like a few videos for personal reasons and also for like the stream.
Yeah.
I think it would be fun. But I'm struggling to figure out how to edit it because I want to edit it my way, but I also want to edit it in a way where it's 2019 edit style in some sense,
Yeah.
where there's a shareability value to it. Because the way I want to edit it is like very simple and raw and British.
Very British.
Because well, there's the thing where a lot of videos, like compilation highlight videos, they're very fast.
Yeah, very fast.
There's no They're very fast. There's no silence. There's a lot of edits and little trickery things here and there, and that's not very British. Like, I think there's comedy in silence.
Yeah, well-placed silence.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that, yeah.
And I want to have that in the videos I create, because I just think it's funny, just have a pause, and then somebody says something.
Yeah, like the awkward silence that's actually funny.
Yeah, like, I think there's value in silence, like, comedic pacing.
What's the expression? Silence is golden, but duct tape is silver?
I don't think I've ever heard that.
It's a great one.
Right.
As you were saying?
So, I kind of want to edit in that way where it's a bit more raw. Obviously, I'm going to edit it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do certain things, like, I'll zoom in on certain things, I'll cut things up a little bit, but I want it to feel a bit raw. I don't want to do these hyper edits that a lot of these compilation videos do.
I found with a lot of people that, well, some of the more successful ones, their edit styles are a lot more, not basic, but a lot more raw, as you would say. You know, they add the emphasis when it's needed. Mm-hmm. But it's not all the time like a lot of these fast-paced edits.
Can I rant a little bit?
If you want.
You know who KSI is, right?
Yes.
I was watching one of his videos a few months ago, and I was so frustrated with it because every time he said half a sentence, the camera would change of the zoom and the placement on his face. So frustrating. The camera was just constantly changing. It was like right up to his face when something didn't dramatic happen, and then it would be like regular, and then it would be medium, and then move over to left, move over to right, big again, blah, blah, blah. It was chaos.
When you said rant, I thought you were going to get really angry. That was a very British reaction. It's just moderate annoyance.
It really was frustrating because it was like, just keep the camera as it is, and if something happens, put it up your face.
Yeah, I think. What is the term? Over editing or overreaction can make things
That was
worse.
the issue.
Yeah.
It was over editing.
I see. For people who actually edit, we can spot that, but for viewers, they'll just think it's a bit weird, but they won't see much difference in it.
I don't know how people feel nowadays, but people used to hate how Philip DeFranco edited his videos, and also the Vlogbrothers, like where it's like you finish a sentence, cut right into the next sentence, so on and so forth.
Now it's the norm. Yeah.
Now it's the norm. Yeah. And it's normalized. Like we're a bit more okay with it. I don't know if people still find that annoying. I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't. Like, I stutter sometimes, and I say and I repeat certain phrases a lot. So I cut a lot of that stuff out. Like, because I've noticed myself, I've started saying a lot, the word a lot, like, and the reality is. I notice I say those things...
The reality is.
Yeah, I notice I say those things a lot.
I feel like that's a bit meta. The reality is. Like, you don't even have to say anything afterwards. You just say the reality is.
That is true. I say those things a lot, and I edit a lot of awkward pauses and you know, like almost like a sigh whenever you finish saying a word and you hear you're breathing when you don't mean to. I edit a lot of that stuff out. And it does seem more fast-paced and more, not so much entertaining, but more easier flowing. Because, I mean, otherwise it could be a 10-minute video, and in reality it could be... See, I've done it again! When it could be five minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, I think it's just more attention span now.
Yeah, it's... kind of don't like that. Like, I think there should be a bit more patient nuance to things.
In certain places, I agree, but in a lot of other areas, it can seem a bit annoying if you keep hearing someone saying or between like
absolutely.
Every sentence. Like, I guess it just depends, really, but I don't think it annoys the vast majority of people anymore. It might have been, and I could be totally wrong about this, but it could have been like a sign of people over-editing at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. But there are a lot of people that over-edit, to be fair. Like with the facial expressions, like you were saying.
That's something I'm slightly dreading about showing my face, because there'll become a point where I have to make thumbnails with my face in it. And you have to do that dramatic face thing that a lot of YouTubers do. And I don't want to do that.
Well, you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out a way that I'm comfortable with it.
To be fair, you'll make a lot of facial expressions while you're making a video. So, you could always just clip one of those.
Yeah, but I just in general find it weird when people make all those faces in their thumbnails, and then like it's not a normal face.
It's over exaggerated. It's to get a response.
Stop it though.
Stop. I can just see you sitting there at your computer being angry at everyone's thumbnails.
So, we didn't talk about did we talk about hobby versus business?
No, we did not.
Oh, maybe we can get into that. Do you consider YouTube a hobby or a business?
I used to consider it both, but now I sort of consider it a business. And
okay.
Ever since I set up a business about a year ago, I've noticed that if I look at things as a hobby, I tend to just leave them on end for like months on end. But certain things have come to pass where this is kind of like something I want to work on to create as like a foundation for other things. So I've seen it more as a business now. What about you? Do you see it as a hobby, or do you see it as a potential business, or?
I generally have this philosophy with a lot of other things where you should see things in the middle, and this is one of those points. It should be somewhere in the middle, and this is part of the creative conflict that I have with my friends, where I'm a bit concerned that I by the way, I just want to say preface, please keep this in, by the way. I do want to preface that I do think he's passionate about what he does.
Yeah.
And he cares about entertaining people. But I think he wants to do this so much that he's being a bit too corporate about it. He's being too business-minded.
Well,
and I don't think that's a good idea.
No, I don't think that's a good idea. I think there's a difference between running a business and running a corporation. And a lot of people eventually turn into the corporation, or think that they have to act like the corporation. But you can still run a business and enjoy it, and still be passionate about it. And
I think it should be somewhere in the middle. And
well, that's
I'm
kind
definitely...
of what I mean. Like, your business can feel like your hobby. Mm-hmm. But if it's to make money, you still have to do certain things certain ways.
Because I'm... like, we're on opposite sides a little bit. I'm a bit more chaotic, and I just want to have fun. To some extent, but I'm also somewhat still business-minded.
Yeah, no, you definitely are.
Like, I definitely behave in a certain way. Like I was telling you earlier, I behaved in a certain way when we did the sponsor stream. We have certain discussions, serious discussions off-stream. and I care about this stuff, and I want him to succeed. Partially because I want him to be financially successful, and then also I want to have a ton of fun.
Yeah. No, I can definitely say from personal experience that you are very business savvy. You're very business minded, but you do understand the concept of when you should and should not be of the business mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But the same is true for like the creative stuff as well. I feel like a little bit. I don't know. I don't know where exactly I line on, but I'm definitely a bit more on the other side with my friend. He was very upset at one point in the stream, and I tried to. I stopped. I don't know how to say it. I stopped being me, or I stopped trying to make certain jokes because I knew he was upset, and I didn't want to upset him more.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can hear that, but I've just started to get hail.
Yeah, I can hear it very heavily.
Oh dear.
I thought you were working off your coffee machine or two.
No.
So I tried to tone it down. I wanted to be respectful, and we had a very civil conversation afterwards, and we explained to one another certain things, and it was okay. It was good.
Well, at least you were able to like sort it out, like.
Yeah, he wasn't upset with me. He was upset with the game mostly, I think.
Yeah.
You know, things happen. You make accidents, and he did a little bit of an oopsie there. Nothing's too serious.
Yeah. I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's
I just
something
think
you
it was
can,
understandable.
Yeah, it's something that you can work through. But to add on to your question of hobby versus, business, I think if your hobby does become your business, you should still do it as a hobby as well, but separate from your business, if that makes sense. Because if you're so focused on business mindset, you are going to suck the life out of it for yourself. You should still be able to enjoy it, whether that's making stuff for yourself or doing it on the side, instead of having to worry about some kind of timetable or stuff like that, like a set date or whatever you call it. Deadline, that's it. Mm-hmm. Or for worrying about making money off of it or whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with being passionate about your work, but there is a certain line, if you're in a creative field, that it will affect you creatively if it's only your business.
In general, I just think it's a tricky thing.
Oh, it's a very tricky thing.
You gotta find a healthy balance.
Yeah.
Like, there are definitely people that are very passionate about what they do, and then you have to make certain decisions to do certain things in order to succeed, and maybe you don't want to do those things, but you're not, like, hateful of it.
Yeah, and fucking hell, I can't think of this hail.
Yeah, it sounds like you're an icebox machine.
Yeah.
You got enough ice?
No, I need some more, hold on. I just hold the button down for another half an hour.
You just got your fifth bucket.
I'm drowning in ice. Jesus Christ. No, but yeah, it is very difficult to strike a balance in a certain sense. And I do think that if you do have a creative hobby, you do need to be very careful about making the decision about making money off of it.
Mm-hmm. And the things you love, sometimes you have to be miserable as you do them.
That just made... What?
Yeah, I'll give you an example.
Like, if it was raising your children or something, I understand that. But, like, if it's creating art or something...
That's even worse. No. So, I had somebody... One of the largest creepypasta narrators ever. Not going to name him. But he once said that... the process of working on a narration, and I think this is the creative process in general of making a video, but he was talking about creepypastas. He said that 70% of it, the first 70% of making a narration, you just hate it. You hate the process. But in the last 30%,
you love it.
You're like, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I got something here. I can make something, and that's why you do it.
No,
You've got to hate it most of the time to enjoy it for the rest of the time. In some sense.
See, I very much agree with that, because
And that's honestly how I felt about making my narrations. I would spend
Would you feel that way
hours
with your other videos as well, like?
No, because they're a little bit different. They're like Let's Plays. But like for like a creepypasta narration, I'm narrating it and I'm like, oh, I hate it. And I put it in, I'm editing my audio, cutting out all my bad outtakes. And doing little tweaks here and there. But once I get to the stage where I'm adding music, I'm like, oh, there's something here. But like the other videos, my gaming videos are a little bit different. Compilations, maybe I would somewhat relate to that.
I'm going to have to edit out a lot of my background noise while you're speaking.
Oh, okay, good luck.
Oh dear. I do find when I'm making my videos now, I enjoy the script, and then, like, I enjoy writing the script and finding resources and stuff like that. I enjoy writing down questions that I can figure out for later. I enjoy the recording of it, but it's the initial startup of the editing that I do sometimes hate. Because you're going through, like, maybe 20 to 40 minutes, sometimes even an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of stuff. And you're taking out the bits that's not needed, you're taking out awkward pauses, you're doing all that different kind of stuff, and then you're trying to find music and all that different jazz. And you're trying to make it flow into a proper story. And that's usually the part that I fucking hate. But once I have all that stuff together, it's all smooth sailing, including the thumbnails and stuff like that, because all the rest of the stuff I enjoy. Once I know I have something, the rest of it is fine. And I start to enjoy it. I wouldn't say personally it would be 70%. I would say maybe it's like 30 to 40% for me personally. What about you?
Well, it depends on what project you're working, but he was referencing like audio narrations.
There's a lot of truth to it, to be fair. I mean, you're not going to enjoy every single part of your hobby. There's always some.
There's a reason why I don't like doing it for 70% of the time, and then I do it for 30% of the time. Like I'm doing it because I still care, even though I hate it for most of the time.
Yeah.
Or I'm not happy with it for most of the time.
I mean, that can kind of be said for most hobbies, to be fair. Like, even so much.
Isn't that a greater example of dedication, though?
Yeah. No, it would be, yeah. Because even though you enjoy only a small percent of it, you endure the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that can be exampled of anything. Like, exercise of any shape or form, you're shit at it at first. You have to build up to the point you actually enjoy it. Same with music. You're crap at it. If you're playing the guitar, your fingers bleed until you've built up the skin, and then you have to learn the chords and all that different kind of stuff. You have to learn muscle memory and make sure your wrist doesn't get fucked up. But then after that, you enjoy it.
At some point, I would actually like to get into playing the piano to do like improvised comedic music.
Mm-hmm. Piano's one of the easier instruments to learn.
Or like rather keyboard, I mean.
Well, yeah, but if you know how to play the keyboard, you know how to play the piano.
Okay, I have no idea.
The keys are pretty much set up the same.
Okay.
If you're able to play on a keyboard, you're able to play on a piano. The only difference is with the keyboard, you can actually change the notes and the tones and all that digitally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it is a wonderful thing to be able to play piano. I used to be able to play piano. It's very much fun. But the boring part is learning how to read the script.
Oh, God.
That's the worst part of it. And the muscle memory. And the accidentally hitting the next key over. But, after that torture, you love it. You absolutely love it. Mm-hmm. If you're into that kind of thing, obviously. If you're tortured by the sound of piano, don't play piano.
I don't know when I'll get into it, but I'm somewhat interested in it on like a creative side.
Oh, I definitely recommend it.
But I have no experience.
YouTube.
Yeah, well, obviously I need a keyboard as well.
Well, yeah, that's that's a fair point. I didn't think of that.
Oh, just look on YouTube and then you'll be an expert.
No, I meant for tutorials. If you were to say something to your previous self, what would you say it? What would you say? In terms of creative things, what would you say to your previous
When?
self? When you were starting. Like, before you started, if you could go back to then now, what would you say to yourself for creative purposes?
Before 2013, somewhere between 2013 and 2010, I would have said, you've got to work at it. You've got something here. You've got to put the work ethic in. I think that's my biggest flaw.
What, just putting the work in?
Yeah, like, I always wonder what people mean by, like, working hard on something. But I definitely don't think I did enough. Like, I've only made, like, obviously this sounds a bit ridiculous thinking about it, but I only made, like, 400 videos. But that was over the course of 10 years. That's not a lot of videos. Mm-hmm. I should have made a lot more.
Do you kind of hold that against yourself, or?
Yeah, definitely, especially during the narration time, because I could have became something if I did a lot more work with the narration stuff. I really truly believe that.
I mean, I guess in a sense that is a bit of a vague thing to ask yourself.
Actually, where is it? Oh yeah, I wrote this little note down to discuss about this. I actually wrote down the two biggest issues with aspiring YouTubers. These are the two biggest issues for aspiring YouTubers that haven't made it. 90+% of them. These are the two problems. Number one, you're not good enough. You're not. Yeah. I know this is a bit horrible to say, but you're not good. You're not good. I don't know. I feel like you're gonna get a lot of dislikes in this video.
No, it's the same with what Victor said. The last one, a lot of the 90% or 99% of people don't give a shit about what you made because it's probably shit.
Yeah, I think that's part of the issue. You're not good enough. You can't make it. You just do not have the talent or the skills, and you don't even have the ability to develop the skills. And then the second one, by the way, these are kind of tied, to be honest. And the second one is work ethic. Because a lot of people dream of being YouTubers, but they don't want to put the work in. And they could be talented. I know YouTubers, people that have made YouTube videos who are incredibly talented, but they haven't put the work in.
Yeah.
You've got to put in a crazy amount of work.
I don't think people realize how much work goes into it.
Yeah, like, I don't know, depending on how much, like, what kind of content you're doing, you have to be making a video, once a month, once a week, once a day, depending on the type of content you're making. But you've got to step up to the plate and do that. You can't be a slacker. And that's I think I have something. Like, I think I have abilities. I think I have the skills, the talent, but I just haven't put the work in. I need to put a lot more in.
I mean, I definitely agree that you do have a lot of skill. And if you were to keep posting, you probably would garner quite a big audience. I would definitely say that. It would take time, but I definitely think that,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Time and effort. Yeah, that's the other equation. I just that's the little contract part of just put a lot of effort in it, and also time.
Yeah,
time.
But no, I definitely agree that you could be very successful. You just need to keep posting and creating more content because you are very good at what you do. It's just a matter of putting it out there on a somewhat regular basis. I'm not very good for saying, post often. The last video I posted was like, oh yeah, it was a couple of days ago. Shit. But before that, it was 4 weeks.
But those are my two advices to people that are interested. Know yourself to the point where do you actually have something? By the way, when I mean do you have something, I'm not saying that you have to be something now, but do you have
potential?
Yeah, do you have that little bit of potential? Because you can look back. I actually kind of want to make a video on this, showing and talking about how, look at all these people that sucked at the beginning, but look what they became.
Yeah.
And if you have that little bit of magic, maybe you can become something.
Yeah, I mean, everyone starts somewhere, and there's always a little spark in that's really good.
Everybody sucks at the beginning. Everybody.
Yeah, getting better at something is sucking just a little bit less every time you try.
But you can see that somewhat at the beginning with a lot of people that, they have something there. There's something here that they can manifest into something else.
And to be fair,
give them a couple of years.
To be fair, for some individuals as well, they don't show that bit, but over time, they're able to develop skills and crafts to create something. And then sometimes it will seem like it comes out of the blue, but in reality, they've just practiced it in secret or something.
Yeah, those are my two bits of like that. That's how you should go about this.
Is that something you'd say to yourself then, or?
Yeah, like I think I've made things that have certain potential. I look at certain things and I'm like, I compare it to other people that I admire, and I'm like, yeah, there's something there. Like, I made people laugh there. I've read the comments. I've talked to the people that I've interacted with on the video. I think my issue is more of like a work ethic issue. Like, I just haven't made enough. I haven't consistently made enough.
And I definitely agree with that kind of thing, especially to say to your past self, or even to anyone else listening to this, because they are very extremely important things. Work ethic specifically, like to take the time out and to actually make what you're making, Well, my last question is, where can people find you and what you're doing?
Oh, that's an easy one.
I like to end on an easy one.
The answer is, you don't find me.
Oh.
You can find me on Twitter, Savian. I don't know, just look me up, Savian, Saveain.
I should have your link up on the screen anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, you can find me on Twitter there, YouTube, Twitch, blah, blah, blah. And then there's also the main name that I'm going by right now is AndyDoesVoiceOver. You know how to spell that. I don't have to say that for you. That'll be a lot of letters. You can find me on Twitch there. I don't currently stream. And then...
Do you want to plug your friend's Twitch?
Yeah, I was going to say, my friend's Rapscallion, he streams every day, roughly 9 p.m. to midnight GMT. Yeah, I jump in there like pretty much every night. But when's this going out, by the way?
Well, it's 2 hours 15 minutes long, so hopefully the end of this week, maybe next week.
Okay, well, from the 8th of April to, I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks, he's going to be streaming extra, so I don't entirely know the schedule, unfortunately. But yeah, he'll be streaming extra probably during that time period. Yeah, but you should be able to see me roughly from 9 p.m. to midnight. And hopefully one day I'll be doing other things, like uploading to my channel.
And possibly streaming yourself.
Yes, I do. I kind of want to do that at some point, but I find it a little bit stressful. And it's just, I don't know, technology, blah, blah.
Well, so nonchalant, technology. Well, I definitely look forward to the things that you're going to create. Because, I mean, It's been a while since you've like properly sat down and created things that you seem to have been very proud of. So
Publicly,
yes,
yes.
publicly, and I do look forward to seeing what you do come up with in the future. And I think it will be interesting to see where you progress from this as well. I mean, we talked about a good few stuff today. Quite a lot of different things, from dark humor to gimmicks, creative conflicts, the algorithms, stupid people doing stupid shit.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you have any interests in getting back into your news videos?
Personally, no. But at some point, it would be nice to set up some kind of, whether it's a channel or a business, not that I host, but to have some kind of legitimate news source where it's not reliant on advertisers to get actual truth out there.
Self-funded, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I would very much like to do something like that, where it could be trusted. I hope that answers your question.
I don't know. I don't know if how much of the people that watch these videos know about those videos, but I really liked those videos. Those were really great videos. I really respected them. They were almost at the quality of DeFranco. Obviously, you do not have the same resources and
if
team
I had
to work on it.
I had a team, I probably still would be doing it.
But you were doing that all by yourself, man. Like that's incredible what you were able to do there.
See, I was quite proud of those videos as well.
DeFranco has like, I don't know, 5-10 people helping him make that one video a day, and you were able to compete with that to some extent.
I was pumping out 3 videos a week.
Yeah, like I don't think that's nothing. Like they were actually insightful to me. Like I really enjoyed them.
I mean, I don't know whether I'll get back into stuff like that. It just, that kind of stuff really depressed me at the time. Because I was spending all day editing, and then all night till I went to bed was finding new news information. And then writing
I definitely
out scripts.
I definitely understand that it's a lot of work, but like you were doing incredible stuff there, and I was like, you got potential there, man. And like I have this other friend who did similar stuff, and I do understand it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the reason why my other friends stopped doing it. But I think there's something there of people doing that kind of content.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe at some point I might try to take it up again, but I would probably need some amount of money first. Because that kind of stuff is hard on your own.
You mean, by money, you mean people, right?
Money and people. Both. Because, you can't pay people to help you with shit like that if you don't have money. Mm-hmm. If I had the resources, it would be nice to create something like that again. But it is very, very difficult. And to keep honest with it as well,
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it. It was very... I enjoyed this. I think we did a good job talking about all the different things. And we went much longer than the last interview.
Ooh.
But, no, were you happy about everything that we said, or do you have any other closing thoughts?
I think I'm kind of happy. Like I said before the stream, I was quite well, not stream, but I was quite nervous a little bit, but I feel kind of good about it.
Well, do you feel like you got everything that you wanted to say?
I didn't really. I don't know. There's a few things here and there that I didn't talk about, but it's fine, I guess. Didn't talk about like the educational stuff, but that's fine.
Oh, with your the documentary and the like?
No, other stuff.
Well, we can talk about it now if you want.
For a couple of years, I've had this idea of doing educational videos, like in the same sort of style as. I feel it weird saying educational, air quotes, because they're not really like educational videos. I'm not teaching you math or anything crazy like that. But it's more like futuristic things and theories and hypothetical situations. It's more like videos that are done in the style of C.G.B. Gray.
Yes.
Where he talks about certain subjects in great detail, and they're very, very well written and orchestrated in a certain way. I would like to make videos like that. That would come out like once a month.
Right. Okay. Would they be like animated and the like, or would they be like like the face kind of thing that you were talking about earlier, or?
I would really have to figure that out. Like if it's animated, my face is on there, or I don't know. Like I would definitely want them to be marketable, like searchable, and people could enjoy them and like them and learn stuff from them. I have a bunch of ideas. I have like 36 ideas for videos.
Do you write them down?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Okay.
Don't just have them all in my head.
Well, that's good. It's something I recommend to a lot of people, to write down their ideas.
Like, I have this idea about cloning.
Oh, I think we've spoken about this before.
Have we? I'm always surprised when people say that, because like, I can't remember that.
No, because...
what would you do if you could clone yourself?
Yes, we've had this conversation.
Have we? Let's do it again.
Oh, dear.
What would you do if you could clone yourself?
I don't think I would.
You wouldn't clone yourself?
No, one of me is enough.
Right, that's a cop-out answer.
No, because... No, I'm not trying to say it as a cop-out. It's the fact that I don't think I could handle knowing that there's an exact copy of me out there, because this is the thing. Eventually, it would come to the point of who is more me.
What do you think most people would do if they cloned somebody, and what they would do with that?
What do you think they would do?
What do you think?
I know what they would do.
What would they do?
If someone cloned themselves and they had a very high opinion of themselves, they'd probably end up shagging themselves.
No, that I think you've spoken to somebody else, actually.
I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation before, although I
don't think we have, because I don't remember this.
To say before, though. Oh, wait, no. The other thing was they would put themselves to work.
The clones?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, no, we have had this conversation, yeah.
Maybe.
Because you...
Basically, that's slavery.
Yes, it is.
And do you think slavery's bad?
Yes.
Then why is it okay to yourself?
Well, I mean, technically, everything you do is a form of slavery.
Would you be okay with... Would you be okay with being a slave?
No.
Exactly. So that's kind of the build-up of this video I want to make about how your clone would not obey you.
Yeah.
They would not be your slave. And the video would be an idea about how you should go into this machine or to get zapped by a device, whatever. And before you do that, you need to understand that either you're okay with being a slave if you were a clone, or you are a collective if you cloned yourself. And then I talk about the results of that and like how that would work, like as a systematic thing, like because I'm talking about it in the real world. You know? Like, if you clone yourself, like, how would you function in society? Like, how would you succeed? Like, what would be your goals? And, I don't know, like, how would you do the things?
Well, first off, if you clone yourself, make sure you're not, in a relationship with someone.
Why not?
How the hell do you think your partner's going to react when they see two of you and both of you feel like you're the same person? How would that work?
Would you tell your girlfriend?
Well, first off, I wouldn't clone myself. But secondly, the amount of arguments you would get into with your partner because something that your partner says to your clone might not have been said to you. So, whenever your partner comes back later and your clone hasn't bothered to do it, you're screwed.
Yeah, maybe that might be an issue a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit. No, it's just, at the same time, it is a very big hypothetical dilemma as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's definitely something that's worth investigating and talking about for sure. So that's the kind of stuff from you that I look forward to seeing, whenever you make it. Because nobody really thinks about that stuff in depth. And to be fair, I've never heard of anyone else say the concept of that would be slavery to your clone. That's a completely new concept to me.
I find it strange how I do think it is a unique idea, but I also find it a bit disturbing that people haven't thought about these things to this extent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's definitely worth getting out there and having that conversation. Especially as we slowly progress to that stage of technology. Because, in like 100, 200 years, that might be a reality.
I don't think there will be enough resources to do that on the planet. Unless we do certain things.
To clone a single person?
Well, there is concern, like, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's 15 billion, where there is, like, serious concern of human resources on the planet.
Well, if we're able to clone a human, wouldn't we be able to clone resources? To a certain extent?
Maybe, I guess.
I mean, at that point, if we're advanced enough to
clone the people and clone the carrots.
Clone the carrots.
Those are the only two things you can clone: people and carrots.
Just carrots?
Yep. Are you okay with that?
I don't know. I'm not too fond of carrots.
You can make as many carrots as you want.
I mean, carrot juice is alright. I don't know if I just want carrots cloned on its own.
You could build houses out of them.
Oh god, what if a human got cloned, mixed DNA with a human by accident?
That's a spin-off movie.
That's a horror movie, that's what that is. Oh dear. That's a very interesting idea. I look forward to that video. Not the carrot and the human hybrid, but... Is there anything else that you feel that you want to have a wee chat about before we finish up?
I don't really think so.
Are you sure now?
Are you implying I should be saying something?
No, I'm just curious if there is anything.
I hope people have enjoyed this, and make yourself happy somehow. Be it just use your brain, or just watch something.
That's a quote right there. Use your brain.
What? Yeah, use your brain to make yourself funny. Make yourself not funny. Make yourself happy. I got funny and happy mixed up.
Well, they're near enough.
Yeah. There's the actual quote. That's what you title the episode. Make yourself funny.
Fucking hell.
I wonder how much you're going to keep this in.
What?
I wonder how much you're going to keep this in. By the way, I just want to let everybody know this is 2.5 hours long. I don't know how much it's going to cut down.
I don't think I'll be cutting out too much. I probably will cut down a bit, but not too much. But thank you for being on the wee interview podcast kind of series that I've been doing. I appreciate it, and I always do find it's very good to get other people's opinions and views on things, and to have a look at their creative past and their potential future. And I think it's very important to hear other people's point of views. So thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
It was a great joy. Loved it.
Well,
I was very nervous at the beginning. We talked about that at the beginning, and I warmed up to it. It's been fun.
well, that's good. I'm glad that you had fun, and hopefully it brings some kind of, knowledge or information to, people listening, if they're listening, of course.
Mm-hmm.
People have seemed to enjoy this kind of content in the past or me and before, so hopefully it brings some kind of knowledge to, or some kind of creative inspiration or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know at this point.
You okay?
No. Oh, I've just been laughing too much. I'm having a breakdown. Well, again, thank you. And, of course, his links to wherever you can find him will be on down below and on the screen. So, if you want to go check him out, you are more than welcome to.
Buy my merch!
You have merch?
No, of course I don't.
One day you might, and then this will be relevant.
Yes, I'll use this. I do not have merch, seriously.
Yet.
So don't buy it. Don't buy my merch, because I don't have merch.
You're giving mixed signals, Jesus. But I'm going to end here. Thanks very much for watching, and yeah, see you later.
Bye-bye. I'll be on the next episode.
It's always a very fun thing to experience this, as it makes you feel human, but at the same time, it makes you want to strangle something. So, there's pros and cons of it. Pros and cons. When you are a creative person and this creator's block hits you, it affects people in a multitude of different ways.